Hi, happy Saturday. Thanks you guys for watching. Making sure we're going. There's a little bit of a delay from when I'll see your comments. So thank you for joining me for the second week. Today we're going to cover the pattern, kind of piecing the pattern together, and cutting out and also basting the body together just so you can check the fit. This is Emily. For those of you who haven't seen her before, I'm sure you have. Anyways, a few things I actually need to do quickly right before is we have 3 drawings, and this is for the 8th. This is for January 8th. This was for the book, digital book, so pick one. Okay, and it looks like Annie 3965. It was a YouTube, so it looks like you won the book. Okay, so those are out. Okay, you can fold these ones up. That's for the one, I think on the 11th. This was for the course. And then we actually had one entry for the one on the 15th for the pattern book, and it is Sujasi off of YouTube. So I'll get in touch with you also. And let's see. Look over here. Okay, she's still doing that. So what I've gone ahead and done is I have printed up the pattern in my size. So let me do this. So,
there.
Oh, you did it? Okay, so, okay, pick one. Okay, this one's for the 11th. It is Jana Lee Wagner. So you got the course. So I'll be in touch with you guys. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've printed up the pages that my patterns are on. It looks like we need to adjust this a tiny bit so it's down. There we go.
I have tape.
In a second. So what I have done is you can see I only printed out the one size that I'm going to be using. So when you got the PDF, you can actually, there's on the side, you see what looks like a whole bunch of layers. If you click on that, you can deselect all the sizes that aren't yours and then just scroll through the pages and find the ones that there's patterns on. And then you can use that to just print out those pages. Toss that. So I'm just going to do some piecing.
I can tape it.
Honey, no, I don't want you doing taping. And I'm filling it. Because I can't see and I'm holding these scissors upside down. I can't see because of the light directly on here, so I can then line those up. Thank you. And I have the back piece. Let's see, figure, oh, there's that one. So say hello if anybody is there right now. Make sure that you guys are seeing me. So you can see I did the lines on these to make it really easy to line them up. And so what I've done is I've just kind of trimmed down the one side. Emily, I need longer pieces of tape. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've got my back piece. And Emily, if you want to go get another pair of scissors, you can work on cutting this side out. And I'm just going to throw some tape on the back here to hold that together. Okay, so you can work on cutting that pattern piece out on the lines. I'm not sure what that one goes to. Oh, that goes right to there. So I don't need that huge piece. Okay, good morning, you guys. Okay, so I'm cutting on my black line on one of the pieces.
It's hard to cut on the curves.
Yes, but you know how to cut. You've been cutting for a very long time. You probably cut a lot better than other people do. I'm assuming my sound sounds a whole lot better today than it did last week. That's because we actually have kind of a mic up top. This one, it looks like there's nothing on that one. There's nothing on that one. Okay, I guess I wasn't paying attention. Okay. What's the bottom of this one?
I don't know.
I may have to look to see. I might be missing one of those pattern pieces. Oh no, it's right here. They're tiled on top of each other. I'll give you this one in a second, Emily. There you go.
That's mine.
So this week has been a busy week. I've been working on getting stuff listed. All that new stuff is I now have all the elastics, laces, and bows listed on the website. So there's a lot of them. I mean, probably 100, 200, something like that. But there's a whole lot of new ones. The laces there's not a whole lot of stretch laces. It's mostly regular plain laces. And I don't think I printed out my waistbands. So and actually I don't need the waistbands for today right now anyway, so we really just need these ones for testing the fit and making sure that you've got the size, or if you need to make any alterations, you can be working on that. I think I lost my feed, honey. Okay, hold on. My other camera just died. Okay, let's see. Did that come back? Let's see. Nope. Okay, give it a second. I'm just going to be cutting here. So like I said, I've got a whole bunch of new pieces. We've got a bunch of new band elastics, strap elastics, and so forth. Let's see if it's on again. No, it's not doing that. It's showing all my videos. Okay. Sorry, technical difficulties. We bought this GoPro refurbished. Biggest mistake in my life. It is, do not buy a GoPro refurbished, because it died one day after the extended warranty, and we can't do anything about it, and we spent a lot of money on it. So my recommendation, oh, okay, David got the feedback. Okay, so we have that one. Did you get your other pattern piece done? Awesome. Look at my kid. Okay. Okay, we're all ready to cut. So I actually I've got something else up here, and I want to clear it off in a second. Yes, I see you drew. That's okay.
No, Aunt's actually drew.
Oh, she actually did? Okay. Well, don't interrupt me. Okay, so I actually wanted to show you these fabrics, and I'm going to be showing these. These are my the goodie bag that's going to be for my patrons this month for Patreon. And so what I did is these are basically kind of a fat quarter of some this is a pretty lace, just a white lace. I only had a couple yards of this one, so I won't be selling this one anywhere. So it's really exclusive for the patrons. You can see it's really shiny, really pretty. And I also included a piece of the white, one of my new strap elastics. It's just brushed on both sides with a little bit of kind of a decorative edge. So this is going to be with that. This, I only actually had 1 yard of this. It's a really pretty lace, and it's actually fused to a bra tool. So it has some give, so this can be used for cups, but it has just the really pretty lace. This is the violet, and then I had some of my violet strap elastic, which I'm also including with this one. So this is what patrons get. Oh, someone from the Netherlands is watching. Nice to meet you. Okay, and then this is one of my stretch laces, and it's kind of like an off-white, and I also picked this other little strap elastic. It's a little bit shiny right here, brushed on the back. So this is what my patrons are getting. I thought I'd just share. So to tempt you, I send goodie bags every single month to my to the patrons, depending on which level you sign up for. Okay, so now we're going to do the fabric. So I'm actually going to, can you find me some good sharp scissors? No, those are paper scissors.
Okay, I'll try to find.
So I'm going to cut out of my mint fabric. And so what I want to do is, you want to look to see, okay, where your stretch is. So right here, this is my selvage edge. And I actually will cut on the grain. Will I cut on the grain? Actually, I might cut opposite. So looking at kind of how it stretches, you want more stretch going around the body. So for this one, I'm going to cut in this direction. So here, we can double layer, or I can just cut 2. Got a huge piece. I hate to kind of waste it. Okay, let's see what we've got here. I did some samples of sewing. I'll show those to you guys in a minute. Okay. So I'm just lining up my selvages, and I'm going to take my grain line is going to be the opposite. So some fabrics stretch a little bit better. Hold on, honey, I'm straightening up the fabric. So I'm still straightening the fabric. Some fabrics stretch more in one direction than the other. So you just want to be careful with how you do this. And if you are one of the larger sizes and you're kind of limited with your fabric, cut one piece at a time, or take and trace, use kind of a washable pen or a marker and just draw around it to make it easier to cut. I like to use pattern weights. So we're going to get, we actually have to do a fold and a fold on those. So in the meantime, I'm just going to cut right here. Hopefully this isn't going to use up all that I need. So I'm just going to cut here. I feel like pins. Oh, someone in Italy is watching. Welcome. So I get people all over. I guess it's kind of early for the west coast of Florida, or west coast of the United States. So it might be a little bit too early. Some of you guys will catch me later. And I know some of you are like, oh, well, that would be so much quicker with a rotary blade. Well, if you are a klutz like me, you don't ever use a rotary blade. Now, there's nothing wrong with it. If you're coordinated and you don't have cats that like to jump up on the table and you know for sure that no fingers or anything is going to get in there, then by all means use your rotary blade. But I prefer to just use my scissors. Okay, so that's pretty good. I'll keep that piece over here. So it looks like now I just need to, yeah, I probably did not do that very strategically. Hopefully I don't really lose too much fabric. Okay, it's double layered there. Oh, perfect. I have enough room. Okay, so she did kind of a choppy job cutting. So you want to make sure that your fold, that line right there, is right on that fold. We don't want to end up having a little gap, and you don't want it too far away from it, because then it can cause your pattern, your garment, to end up being too big or too small. So I'm right there on the fold. I've got my pattern weight holding it down. Now, if you don't have pattern weights, things that also work is cans of food. That's what we used when we were in school. And actually, the kids kept stealing the cans of food off the table. And so they finally decided, hey, it might be smarter if we actually put canned mushrooms on the table. And let's remove the labels. So those got stolen once, and they never got stolen again from the pattern rooms, because who really wants canned mushrooms?
Yeah, I never.
Not a college student for sure.
I do not like mushrooms.
I know you don't. And that's in my way. But you can also use anything that has weight that lays around the house, like a tape dispenser, your phone, other stuff. Oh, somebody got my sports bra kits. It's really nice fabric, isn't it? It just feels really, really nice. Okay, so we have one of those. Now here it looks like, see, this was actually fabric that was slightly dirty from that when I first got the rolls. So I don't feel like I'm wasting too much, because you can see there's some roughness there.
It has to be on the fold line, I think.
Oh, it has to be on the fold line? Okay, well, you know what? I'm going to fold more like this, because I don't want that damaged bit on my own sports bra. Okay. Okay. Okay, so again, make sure that they are right on that line. Oops, not there. There we go. And I'll just straighten that up. Make sure that's all flat, and that comes all the way down. Yep, perfect. So if you are going to be cutting on the black fabric, so if you decided to get that black kit that I have, you are going to want to cut you're going to see how it stretches. It stretches more than this fabric does. So you definitely want to make sure that you cut one layer this direction, one layer this direction. So that way it kind of keeps it a little bit more firm. You don't want too much stretch going up and down or too much stretch going across. Otherwise it'll just be a little bit too stretchy for you. But if you cross them, it should be a little bit better. But generally you would have your stretchiest bit going around the body and not up and down. Let's see, it's kind of moved a little bit. Let's see. But if, you know, whatever your fabrics are, what I would definitely do is put a single layer with the direction that you want to have it in check. So let's say if you want to have them like this, check the stretch this way, check the stretch this way. And that way you can kind of see and confirm which direction you actually want to have them in. Because you want it to be fairly firm. You don't want to be bouncing up and down, so you don't want a lot of stretch going up. And it looks like this when you have these two, it doesn't really matter which direction this one is in. So you can see, I think you can kind of see, it's got about the same amount of stretch either way.
So we can do it
Yeah.
both
So
ways?
you can cut, when you've got the two, you can cut them either way on the black. Now with the black, so let's say you're going to have, I'll do it like this. So you've got that direction and this direction. So it's definitely stretchier in that direction. Yeah, stretchier going across. So you're just going to want to be careful when you're cutting out your black. Okay, so I don't need to cut those out for you right now. What I want to do is I actually want us to baste our seams together. Now, I did not set up the camera for my for the sewing machine yet because all I'm doing is basting. So you do have a right side and a left side of your fabric, a right and a wrong side. So kind of lay them out how you're going to be sewing them. And these should walk perfectly. And I do believe my seam allowance, my seam allowance is 3/8 of an inch or a centimeter. So it makes it easy. Now you can use pins
Or clips.
So pins or clips. Honestly, what I do when I sit down to sew is I line up that. I stick a pin in it, kind of going off the edge at the top, and I do one at the bottom, and I just stretch them as I sew them. And you really shouldn't have to do much stretching because they do walk together perfectly. So if you want to kind of find your middle, kind of take my pin here. And we're going to baste this together, and you can do that with just a straight stitch on the machine. Now, before you start sewing, you want to cut kind of a square or rectangle, and you're going to test your fabric first. You want to test it with your machine and your needles, so you don't start sewing it and all of a sudden it starts skipping stitches on you. Now, I've tested my industrial machine, and they are not ballpoint needles. They're just the regular universal needles. The industrial is a little bit more powerful, so I didn't have any issues. It's possible you might have some skipping of stitches. So what I did, and I want to show you on these, on this fabric, the two lines that are puckering, this one right here and this one right here, I sewed just straight. And so what happened is that the thread on the machine really started to pucker it. And if you see I pull on that seam, it doesn't stretch at all. Now all of the other ones, I actually pulled the fabric just slightly like this as I sewed. And you can see it allows some stretch in that seam. And we don't want the seam to pop even when you're trying it on. So if you just pull it a little bit as you're stitching it, it will actually give you that little bit of stretch. But if you're doing this one and you pull it on over your head, it's likely that that's going to pull. So you can see, and I'm pulling pretty tight on these, and these other ones are not ripping. So that's one I didn't do with tension. So these other ones, they didn't pop. On this one, I actually didn't find that I needed to pull it that much. This one behaved just a little bit differently. So you want to play around with, you just want to sew two layers together and test your stitches. We're going to do a basting stitch. Now it is possible you can sew this whole thing with the straight stitch machine. I don't really recommend it, but you can certainly do that. And if you are, when you're doing your actual seams, you're going to want to stretch it a little bit or do the lightning stitch so you can have a little bit of movement on that seam. But because there's no seams going across the body, they're all going up and down, you shouldn't actually have that much pulling. Okay, so on this side, and see, I bought this whole thing of these Wonder Clips. They're the generic ones though. And I have not really used them. So I know some people swear by them, so I thought I'd try them out.
And they're also rainbow.
Yes, they're rainbow color. I bought them and all of a sudden they disappeared and I was like, I thought I had bought some of these. And then I go into my daughter's new sewing room because she took over my stock room. It's now her sewing room. And they're lined up on her table in rainbow order. All of them. So, you know, it really kind of depends on what you use. So what I did is I found the middle and then you found your top over here. And you just want to kind of wedge it in so your edges do line up. And you want to make sure your edges line up, otherwise it'll mess up your shapes. So, okay. So I'm going to take, and so we're going to stitch those seams together, and you're going to stitch your front and back together, and we're going to baste them together so we can rip it out. So no back stitches. Honestly, pins are easier to use.
Why?
Why? Oops, I did a bad job on that side. Okay, I'll fix it. I will fix it. It looks like I lost some of the fabric there. Oh, camera just died again. Okay, so I'm not sure why it's doing that. It's just timing out.
It's not supposed to. It's plugged in.
Yeah, it didn't do it the other day. Well, I guess we might be upgrading to a different camera. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on camera 1. So this is from the computer. And you're going to see me from a distance. You're going to see Emily. I'm going to do a quick stitch on this. You don't need to see this because all I'm doing is I'm sewing it at 3/8 of an inch or a centimeter. And we're going to just baste it. So, David, you can work what you need to do to get that other camera
I will in a
fixed.
second.
Okay. But you can see my daughter's beautiful face. Okay, and the 3/8 of an inch is usually about the edge of your foot or a little bit bigger. Okay, let's see, we got basting still. And this fabric actually, with this machine, it sews very nicely. So I'd be very curious of how the home machines work with your with the fabric.
I have a sewing machine too.
Yes, I know you have a sewing machine.
I have 2 sewing machines now.
I know you have 2 sewing machines. I just gave her my grandmother's sewing machine.
And it's one like that, kind of. It's the one that my mommy grew up with.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're sewing your pieces together, make sure that you're doing it. Either put a whole lot of more pins in it, or
Pull it down.
yeah, you got to make sure that those edges line up. So you kind of might have to stretch one of the sides to get it on. And so this one is just for the fit. So I'm not doing a beautiful job, but this is where we'll. So this one should just be basting. Almost done. Now I get to see what it's like to work with the clips. Now clips you can't stitch over, so I'll see whether I love or hate it. I'm already having to move the one clip to get it started. Oops, I'm using a pin. I don't think I'm a big fan of the clips. But maybe for other projects, it might be better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I figured I might as well try it since people rave about it. So,
I have a
hand crank sewing machine.
hand crank sewing machine, and the clicks help because I can. It's just really fun on it, but I can't do it because my daddy needs to fix it.
Yep, and if you ask it at some other time than when he's cooking dinner, maybe he will fix it.
But every other time he's doing something.
Okay. I think he's got this up, so let me switch back to camera 2 until it times out again.
Yay.
So right now we've just got our seams basted together. And what you want to do, and you can do this wearing your bra. So actually putting this on and put it on inside out over your bra, and then you can actually see if this is going to fit you well. Now remember, this comes up right in the front, so this goes right underneath the breast, so it should sit there. So if you decide that, you know, you might be bigger on one side, you may need to go in and take it in a little bit, and you can just, you know, pin it when you got it on it. Now I know with this one's a little stretchier, so you might end up finding that you need to take it in a little bit more. It's probably easiest to take it in on the sides, unless you have a clear hollow part in the sports bra that you need to take it in. Now I know that some individuals have a very short torso, and I've got a medium height torso, and that's kind of how I base my patterns on. I think my torso is about 5 inches in height, so the base pattern was designed on that. But I do have one of my testers, she was actually, I think, like 3.5 in height, and so she ended up having to really kind of take it in and taper it on the top, and then she ended up having to shorten the neckline quite a bit. So, but you can do it in this aspect, and then you can go in and see if this is going to fit you right. So I wanted to show that, and if you once you have that fit, and if you want to also do the same thing with this one, and then you can even put the 2 layers together and put it on, you know, without the bra, so you can see if it actually holds you up. So this body, the body of it should hold you up on its own without the band. I mean, obviously you won't be able to go out in public or even walk around the house without falling out the bottom if you're like me. But in general, it should hold you up and keep you where you're supposed to be. The band is not designed to fit tight. The band is designed to be a little bit looser, and then we've also got our straps. So I did not print the strap pattern out. Let me print that out in just a second. I can do it on my computer.
And I can entertain.
You can entertain? Okay. Let's see. There. Can you entertain? You can be on the screen, be in the shot. So you can why don't you tell a story, Emily, why I'm trying to print this out, okay?
Why?
Why? Because I just asked you to tell a story. It gives them something to do.
I don't know what story to tell.
Why don't you guys ask about a story for Emily to tell? Or you could share about your school. You started school 2 weeks ago. So you can share what school is going, how school's going.
And
Okay, let me get to my
I think
printer.
yesterday I was in a different class, and 3 days ago I made this. It's bald eagle, the bald eagle.
Okay.
It can fly.
Okay, I got the strap printing. Okay, now let me get the waistband printing. Waistband letter. So those of you that have the waistband and the strap are in separate files. If you haven't figured that out, which I just realized because those are more universal in size. So they're basically based on the band. Oh, okay, I have another one coming too. See, I get delivery.
No.
Okay, the other one's gonna be coming. Let me close that out. So, okay, let me get back to camera 2. So here is my strap. This is the strap cut guide. And if you notice, there's actually a slant going on here. And that's actually designed for the direction it's going to hit on the strap here.
Delivery.
Oh, thank you. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you keep that length and that angle. So for something like this, well, honestly, we would probably want to cut that out. At least so we have the angle. So I can put that kind of up against that strap. So you have that angle going. So you have that angle on the end of your elastic, and we also have it on the band. Now, if you have a very long torso, and let's just say normally straps are a little bit too tight on you, what we can do is we can actually make this a little bit bigger. So let's take a little bit of scrap over here. And I'm actually going to make mine bigger to show you how to adjust it next week. So I am going to, let's see. Okay, Emily, can you go find me a ruler, like one of the clear rulers that's hanging from the table over here, and a pencil. I need a pencil too. Yep, like that. Can you get me a pencil?
Probably there's one.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend my strap. Now, if you're going to do an adjustable strap, you probably want to extend this at least 4 inches, maybe 5.
And you have to give me back my pencil when you're
That's
done.
fine. I wish it was sharp though. So I'm just going to extend mine. Don't, I'm fine right now. I'm just going to extend this by 2 inches, and that way we have enough to play with. And so I'm going to extend this side also by that 2 inches. And this will give you enough that you can actually play with. And I didn't mark 2 inches. And actually you can just use your ruler this way too, because it's a 2-inch ruler. So now I've extended my strap 2 inches, the strap cover. And then you can also do it for this one. Now what I actually do is I kind of do a cheat. I don't use my elastic cut guide. When I actually cut my fabric, I have 1 length of elastic. And I don't cut it ahead of time. I have the length. I start sewing that side, and then when I'm done, I attach the other strap to the end, and then cut them in half. So that'll make it a little bit easier. So if you're not exactly sure what you want to do for your strap length, you know, work on these. Now you can also use this exact same strap with the Laurel. They hit at the exact same place. So once you make an adjustment to your strap pattern, you can use that on the Laurel as well. Yes, let's try to cut that. And because you have, those of you that have the kit, you have both the black and the other color, you can do the waistband in black, I suppose. And then if you want to, you can even use like a little bit of fold over elastic around the edges. Now I'm not going to do that because I like to have, I'm going to do mine all in mint.
Yeah, it's going to be
So
prettier.
if you notice here, I have the grain line listed here. Now this usually means that the stretch is going to go across. We want as minimal stretch going across, like going up and down on the strap as possible. We want it to be a little bit more firm. And some of you that may have an even larger cup, you might even want to take and cut a piece of muslin for this also, so it actually keeps it from stretching at all. Now I'm fine with a little bit of stretch, and the reason why we did this extra length is so you can adjust it on yourself before we finalize the pattern. So okay, we've got the stretch is going to go, there's less stretch this way, so I actually want to have that going in that direction. Let's see, where did I chop in? I chopped everywhere.
Or didn't you?
Too much stuff on my table. I did. Okay. So we want it to have little stretch going up and down.
I'm trying to grab that.
So you want to get your straps prepped. You want to have everything cut out. I said this is really the only thing you need to be sewing right now. And I want you to check your fit. And then any changes you have to make on this, I want you to take them and go ahead and make those changes to your paper pattern. And once you have your paper pattern adjusted, then you can cut your other layer out. So that way you're not having to make the same type of adjustment on both of them. And that way you've got a body that's going to fit you a little bit better. So your homework is going to be to sew this together, baste it together, test the fit on yourself. And then you can alter any alterations that you do make to the pattern. Now, if you have one side bigger than the other side, make a copy of this. So then you have one for, let's say, for the left, and then on the other side right with the correct side up, you say, okay, this would be, if this is going to be a smaller side here, whatever the text is facing up, that way it'll help you figure out which is right and which is left. And then just make sure when you're cutting it out that you do cut them out and sew them in the correct orientation so you don't have one side that's too big and one side that's too small. You're going to want to cut out your strap. We can make that a little bit longer. Now the waistband, oh, Emily, can you, oh, never mind, right here. Here's the waistband.
I want to help with that.
Okay,
Can I
how
cut
do you
it
tell
out?
the right and wrong side of the mint fabric after you pre-wash them? If you look really closely, first of all, you can see it rolls. It's going to roll to the back side even after I cut it. That's just kind of what spandex fibers do. The back side has, yeah, I can see how you can see a little bit. The front side is a little bit softer, and it's a little bit more brushed than the back side. If you cannot see the difference, then I wouldn't worry because it's going to be underneath your clothes anyways, so it doesn't necessarily make a difference. But you can see that even just with cutting it, it does kind of curl to the back side, so that should help you figure out what side. Now, I did not pre-wash this. This is nylon and spandex, so I don't believe that this should actually be shrinking at all. But, you know, I will probably end up washing mine before I wear it. So, yeah, pre-washing is probably a good idea because you never know what type of, chemicals that were used in the processing of it. And we just lost feed again.
Mommy?
Okay, sorry about that. We keep losing our feed. I'll take this moment to answer some questions if any of you guys have questions up to this point. So
Can you shut off again?
Yeah, shut off.
I want to read the questions.
Well, there's no questions yet. Someone's just asking about the fabric. I'm actually really excited to wear my new sports bra.
I want to help cut it out
Ooh.
though.
Hold on.
See if
Let's
it's
see. Oh, no, not yet. It's got that feed. It just shows the videos. Sorry. It just shows my other videos there.
Can I cut out?
It should be there now.
Can I cut out?
Okay, so let's see. Yep, okay. So I think this camera needs to be
Cut it out.
fired.
Probably.
I want to cut out.
Honey, I will. I'm just going to tape them together first, okay?
And then I can cut it out, okay?
Okay, so you can see, I just printed the whole thing. I didn't close any layers, but I don't know if I actually did layers on this one. Okay, let's do that. Can you hold it, honey? Thanks. I think that's the end of that tape roll,
Oh, Mom.
which is why I grabbed that other tape roll there. Okay, so you're going to take and you're going to match, figure out which band size you are. So mine is the 38. So I'm going to close that. Now you see on this one, I don't understand why. I think I messed with the 32 and the 34. I think on the body of the pattern itself, I don't know what I did, but they do match even though it looks kind of funny right there. So it could be that my 34 is just a little bit tighter, but they match the body. So if you make this a little bit bigger, you're going to have to make the body a little bit bigger. But that's, a total of a ½ inch, which you're not going to feel.
You're 38 or 30?
Yeah, mine's 38. So 38. The 40s I have more sports bras that don't fit me than ones that do fit me. So I have ones that are J cups. I think I have a J cup and a 40. I have a J cup. So I lost a little bit of weight. So I'm going with the I cup. So I'm actually going to test that on me and make sure that I don't need to make adjustments as well. So that's my homework for next week.
Okay. I thought I was going to cut that out.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry, honey. I needed to get it done.
I completely forgot to.
I know. Okay. Can you throw trash away? Just clean up all the trash over here, not the patterns, just the trash. You can throw the scraps away. Okay, so if you're going to be using a different size elastic, so this pattern was drafted for this amazing stretchy fabric I have. This is my 35 millimeter elastic, and actually I'm going to jump over and grab some of my other elastic. Oh, I think I've got some over here. Oh, sorry, I'll be right back. I'm trying to get some. It's like I've got a couple wads of elastic over here, different sizes. I was looking to see if I have my 1 inch. So let's say you're going to use like a 1 inch. It's like this is all that brush stuff. Well, we'll pretend this is 1 inch. So this elastic and my strap elastic, it stretches a whole lot less than this. So this is a better example. This stuff is the reason it's over here is I get the scrap stuff that is bad. Okay, so this stuff is fairly stretchy, and this one's a little bit more firm. The pattern was designed for this. So if you end up doing this, have a much wider elastic or a much firmer elastic, it's just going to be a little bit more snug under your breast. And depending on how you like the fit of them, you may even want to go up a band size if you're using a firmer elastic like this. But this one is, yes, that's scrap, honey. She just keeps repeating herself over and over again. I'm sure some of you can relate if you've got kids. So let's just say that you want to alter this pattern for 1 inch elastic. Okay, where'd my ruler go? So this is 1 3/8. So if we need to remove 3/8 off the pattern. Where's my pencil? Okay. So we have 1 3/8, or the 35 millimeter, and we need to go down to 25 millimeter. You've got a 10 millimeter difference. So what you can do is you just take 5 millimeters off this edge and off this edge. For 1 3/8 to 1, you have a 3/8 inch difference. As you can see right now, metric would be a whole lot easier to deal with. Half of 3/8 is 3/16, and so you would have to know on your ruler where 3/16 is, which is right about there. So you would then take that much off that side and this much off the other side. So if you're using a thinner elastic, you just take it off on an equal amount on both sides.
Do I throw away these?
Yeah, we already have the winners.
Okay.
So yes, you can throw those away and clean up my table. So you have to do it on both of these if you're going to be making that change. Now, if you're going to be using a different strap elastic, you would do the same thing. So you basically, at this point on the strap, let's say if you're using a thinner elastic, you can remove it off one side since it's a completely, perpendicular pattern or parallel and perpendicular lines. So you can just remove it from one side. So if you're going to use a 1 inch instead of this one, you would just remove that all the way over to here. And so draw your new line. I'm trying to think if there were other alterations before the sewing that...
Can I throw away these?
What, honey?
Throwing away.
Yes, that's fine. I get a play-by-play. Let's see. Yeah, if you wanted to add a seam to the center front, you just add seam allowance on there. I don't know if I mentioned that before. Yeah, if you're changing your elastic... Oh, I did forget something. So it looks like on here, on the front waistband, we also make that change on this apart too. So sorry, it's been a while since I've altered one of these patterns. So we just make it smaller all the way around on these ends.
Garbage.
So you would make that smaller on these sides too.
Garbage.
Yes, honey, that's garbage. Anything that's not what I'm working on is garbage. That's garbage. The wadded up paper is garbage. That's garbage. Yeah, just garbage. Okay, I don't need to tell you what everything is. So I do have instructions in here on how to change for the different sizes of elastic. So that is in the instructions if you have any questions. And then if you do make your strap a little bit narrower, where you're going to adjust your pattern is going to be on, where's the back pattern piece, honey?
I don't know.
Did you throw it away?
No.
Well, I don't see it up here.
Up here?
No, where's the back pattern piece? Well, it has disappeared. I have a feeling it's now in her garbage pile. Nope, that's the strap. Is that you're going to make your adjustment over here. So you're going to make it this narrower at this point if you're going to be using a narrower strap, because we want to keep this point the same. And so we're going to change that. Huh?
It isn't.
Are you sure? I don't see that pattern anywhere. It's not on here. Well, the pattern is MIA, so we're going to have to find it because I'm going to have to cut my lining out on that now. Okay, adjustable straps. Yeah, the adjustable straps, I'm not going to do for this one. I think what you would want to do if you're going to do adjustable, just like we added the 2 inches here, I would probably add another 3, so you have a good amount that can be, or maybe just 4. So you add a total of 4 inches. I can't remember what the Laurel pattern, because I did the Laurel pattern as an adjustable one. So you can probably just extend that by about 4 inches, unless you know for sure you're a very long torso, then you can extend that a little bit further. And you can always cut some of it off when you actually are attaching the whole garment to yourself, or to the bra itself. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go through her garbage pile, because that pattern is not here. I see the front.
It isn't.
It isn't? Okay, well, you're gonna have to look for it. Maybe it fell under the table.
Okay.
So on when you're doing the adjustment back here on that pattern, it's just gonna come off this. Emily, no. It's gonna come off this side. Let's see. Oh, instructions again. Let's see what else. Other alterations. I don't think I have any other alterations listed. Now I'm doing things a little bit different than the book. What I've actually decided that I would like to try and do is I want to have a clean finish around the waistline and a clean finish around the neckline. The armhole is going to end up having to be turned down, like all to the inside of the body. That way it just gives you kind of a cleaner finish. I know sometimes this can get irritating depending on your threads. Some people might be really sensitive to the threads. And so if we clean finish the inside at the bottom, the threads won't rub you the wrong way. And especially if you're using a cotton or something, you don't want to have those threads touching you. Honey, please, you don't need to be making this noise. That microphone picks up everything. So please get the garbage can off the table and the ball off the table. Okay, let's see. So, yes, fun with a child, and actually she's gonna be home Monday and Tuesday, so she said one day she'll go to the warehouse. So I figure I'll have her for a couple hours before she starts making me want to pull my hair out and take her home.
I don't want to.
But so have everything cut out for next week, because we're gonna finish sewing the bodies together. We're going to finish them. So if you know that you've got a good fitting, I'm actually going to take and finish these with my overlock machine. If you don't have an overlock machine, you can always just zigzag it. But what I would do is try and do a lightning stitch on that seam that you'll be using. But we'll cover that next week when we're putting the whole thing together. And when we do, make sure you've got a needle that's going to be strong enough to go through several layers of fabric. So my machine, I've got set up, I think both my industrial, my overlock, and my home machine. Am I talking to the right camera?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. I think I use a size 90, and I don't even think I have ball points in them. So, so far this has worked. You can see it did not skip any stitches, but if you have any skipping of stitches, just make sure that you change your needle. There's also tricks you can try and sew with a piece of tissue paper. And what that does is that helps kind of catch the fabric. And sometimes tissue paper on the bottom is not enough. Sometimes you actually need to take tissue paper and put it on the top. But it makes it a little bit harder to see your seam, so make sure it's clear enough. And trying to think if there's anything else I haven't covered here. I've got my patterns. I'm going to finish cutting these out. I'm going to check this fit on myself. And then we're going to do the straps first thing next week. And so we can adjust the height on this and start assembling it. So it's possible and we might finish everything next week. Once we start putting the seams and making the clean finishes, it's going to be a little bit more complicated because we're going to be having to pull things in and inside out and do what we call the burrito roll when in sewing. So if you're experienced with hearing that term, the burrito roll, it's basically trying to pull something inside out, sew it, and put it back right side out. So it's a little bit more complicated, and I'll have 2 cameras set up at the sewing machine to help you understand those steps, because I did not do it that way on the other videos that I've already done. So I thought it would be nice to have a cleaner finish on the videos. So anyways, let me know if, there's another question. So do you suggest using a woolly nylon? I tried once to use woolly nylon, and I hated it. I couldn't quite figure out how to get it to work right. So I don't use woolly nylon. I just use polyester thread. It does have enough give. I do not use cotton. Really, the woolly nylon's up to you. If you know how to use it, you can certainly try using that. I think it allows some stretch, but my polyester thread is all I really use. And right now, I don't know if you can see, probably not, there's a huge wad of thread sitting on top of my overlock, which I can only assume that my cat got wrapped up in the thread as he was walking around and carried the thread across the room, because it is literally a big wad of thread. So I'm probably gonna have to rethread my overlock before next week. Let's see, any other questions right now before we sign off? Let's see, anything we need to talk about?
About my ball?
No, we're not, no.
It keeps falling.
No. Okay, I think if that's it, you guys can, continue asking me some questions. I know that there is a short delay, so a question might come in at the last minute after I've already turned off the feed. So if I do see any more questions, I will go in and answer them manually. And then next week we'll do the same thing, but we'll be more at the sewing machine, so I'll be all set up over there. And thanks for watching.
Bye.
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 I had 11 people watching.